Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank Keith Landa and all of the members of the University Faculty Senate for the work that you do on behalf of our students and, as colleagues, the work we do together as part of SUNY. You know, it's really an absolute preference in my mind for me to be present in person for your gatherings, and if not that, to do a live stream. I think that's what it's called, so that we can do some Q&A and have a conversation, because your questions are always great. Unfortunately, my calendar today and in the days previous to this and for the next week to 10 days, it's just insane. We have a statewide UUP executive board meeting. As we're recording this, it starts in about 45 minutes. Those meetings usually run through most of the day, and then I've got to get on the road. Headed to Pennsylvania, as many UUPers are, but not enough, to go to Pennsylvania and to work on behalf of the AFT-endorsed candidate for president, Kamala Harris. And I realize we're in a non-political, non-partisan setting here, but as a union president and as a vice president of the AFT, but more than anything else, in my opinion, as a patriotic American, I think it's vitally important for us to be engaged as never before in this election, because it is a choice about what kind of country we're going to live in. And so I've committed the next 10 days to being in Pennsylvania to get the vote out among union members in the hopes that we can stave off what could be cataclysmic when it comes to our political system, and for that matter, our economy, and for the work we do in higher education, and in my case, in many of your cases, as unionists. With that, let me tell you a little bit about the work that we're doing right now. We are at the stage in UUP where we are putting together our legislative agenda for next year. The governor is putting her budget together and her agenda, and we're hard at work. This is earlier than we've ever done this work. We've had virtual town halls. We've had committee meetings. Our outreach committee, made up of rank and file members of UUP, met with delegates at our delegate assembly. We're gathering information as broadly as we can to put together the agenda, with the realization that going forward into next year's legislative session, our priorities are your priorities. Our collective priorities are to get more resources to SUNY, to get us out of the financial cutting that occurred during the Cuomo years. We do have to realize that in the last 2 years, under Governor Hochul, and especially with the legislature being very strong on public higher education issues, there have been record increases in funding for SUNY and for CUNY. Community colleges have not fared quite as well. But here's the rub. As successful as we have been in getting more resources to SUNY, the problem has been that the leadership of SUNY, that is the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor, have chosen to put resources in the direction of campuses that they allege need the resources or deserve the resources because they are doing very well in terms of enrollment and so forth. Our argument has been, for the past 2 years, that the campuses that are suffering in terms of enrollment, although enrollment is up just about everywhere, those campuses that are suffering with low enrollment due to underfunding for over a decade should not receive the resources they need. Though the argument is made that everyone has received double-digit increases percentage-wise, if you're starting at a very low number, a double-digit increase is not a hell of a lot. As we have stated, from UUP's perspective for the past 2 years, there has been plenty of money in the last 2 budgets to eliminate all of the structural deficits across the SUNY campuses. The decision that the leadership of SUNY has made is not to do that. It is a conscious decision that has then been followed by cuts at campuses in programs and retrenchments at 2 campuses so far. We, as UUP, is duty-bound to do. It is a moral, ethical, and legal obligation. We continue to fight hard for those members of our union who have been retrenched to ensure that their rights are protected, and most importantly, that everything is done to make sure that they can continue their employment within SUNY. No one needs to lose their jobs. there are plenty of resources in the budget to make sure that that does not happen. Another major priority for us right now is the way the contract is being implemented. Great contract that we negotiated with the governor that is in place through 26, which means come next spring and summer, I've got the job of starting to put together our negotiations team and starting the gathering of information from members of UUP, because we would like to hit the table prior to the expiration of our contract at the end of June in 2026. But we have a contract we're implementing right now. And one of the areas where UUP leadership is heavily engaged right now is on the issue of discretionary salary increases, or DSI. Our two vice presidents, our academic vice president, Alyssa Carl, our vice president for professionals, Carolyn Kuby, have reached out to chapters of UUP that were the members where we represent, inquiring as to how campuses are distributing those funds. It is at the discretion of management, but what we want to see is what kind of patterns are followed. The intention in doing this is to try to get those campuses where chapter leaders or the members aren't particularly happy about the way it's distributed. And through the course of labor management, there can be discussions about, for instance, hey, say we're at Binghamton. There's actually, a process underway at Albany to distribute funds in this way, and it's working very well. That's what labor management can do. The sharing of information about DSI and its distribution, I think, is one of the really vital things that we can do in this union as we implement this contract. Another area where there was just a little bit of language in the contract, but going forward, there are conversations ongoing with the leadership of SUNY, is around AI. At present, two things I want to share with you on that. We are finalizing, in fact, at our exec board meeting today, we are going to present to the executive board a statement of principles concerning AI. I think it's an excellent statement. I think it recognizes the diversity of our membership while also protecting our rights as members of a collective bargaining system, namely UUP. We're going to post that on our website once we have it, and also our two vice presidents are going to start to do workshops with members to get your input. First one's at UB coming up soon, around the topic of AI. And so it's the idea that we want to have a conversation about this. We want to establish where there might be problem areas and concerns, but also areas where our members, as colleagues, where we can take advantage of AI as we see it as part of the work that we do. So that's another major area that we're working on. Most importantly, of course, perhaps, we are continuing to work very hard, as I said, in defense of those who are potentially going to lose their jobs or already have, if they've not been reappointed, at the campuses where there have been programmatic cuts. At the same time, we continue to work on behalf of our over 2,000 members at Downstate in trying to ensure that the governor takes on the responsibility. It's her hospital at the end of the day, that hospital continues to serve the population of Central Brooklyn, that we get a bigger investment of state money into that hospital and capital money. Capital money doesn't take away money from any of the other campuses, okay? And for that matter, let me make something very, very clear to all of you. Some campus presidents have been alleging that the money that was put in the budget for Downstate to get through this year and next year, operating aid, that money took money away from other areas of SUNY. No, it didn't. That money was originally in the governor's budget. That was her proposal. The money that came into the budget afterwards was added by the legislature. Two totally different areas. At no stage, and we were on the inside beginning to end, at no stage did anybody say, well, we can't give you as much money for the campuses because all this money is going to Downstate. That was not the case, and it is not the case. At the same time, we are working very hard with the community leaders, our members down there, and our national affiliate, American Federation of Teachers, to move forward to propose a plan for Downstate to improve that hospital, to make patient care better in Central Brooklyn, and to fulfill the education mission of that important institution. We will not ever accept the closure or the dismemberment of downstate. It would bring irreparable harm to healthcare in central Brooklyn, and it would harm the education of the most diverse class of healthcare professionals of any medical school in this part of the country. We need downstate. And as I've said so many times to our delegates, a closure of downstate, a deep set of cuts to downstate would bring about a precedent that would be dangerous for the entire system that we are supporters of. We want the system to continue to meet the needs of all New Yorkers and others. We don't want a scaled down SUNY, a shrinking SUNY, one that offers fewer opportunities for people in New York and, for that matter, people in this country and around the world. So that fight will continue. It is a priority. It is a priority for our national affiliate at the American Federation of Teachers. And we will continue to fight until we win that most important of struggles. And so with that, I want to close simply once again thanking you for all the work that you do for our students, for our campus communities, and to plead with you one last time. If you have not voted, please make sure you do. If you have not taken part in any electoral activity on behalf of the union-endorsed candidates, go to uupinfo.org. There are opportunities there that you can take advantage of. You don't necessarily have to go to Pennsylvania, as I'm going to do, but I would certainly welcome the opportunity to see you there as I knock doors. If not, there are other opportunities. Yes, I end where I started. Our democracy is at stake. And many of us have ancestors, in my case, parents, uncles, who fought against fascism in World War II. I would hate to see us lose a battle with fascism simply by the choice of who we vote for on November 5th. In solidarity, always, hoping that we have a bright future together. Thanks very much for this opportunity to speak with you. Take care, everyone.